Artificial intelligence could be the biggest opportunity of this generation for investors. But what companies are going to be the big winners? Who is going to win this massive arms race? I don't think investors need to overthink it. The odds on favorite is one company that is one of the biggest companies in the world. They make some of the best models, they have the best distribution, and they have the cash to invest to continue to be a leader in artificial intelligence. That is Alphabet. Let's go through the company's advantages. Let's start with the arms race that is artificial intelligence today. Billions of dollars being invested in startups, in capital expenditures, in new models. Well, who are the companies that are going to be able to afford to continue investing indefinitely? There are only a handful of big tech companies that can even play in these waters. Alphabet is obviously one of them. Over the past 12 months, $134 billion worth of cash coming from their operations. That can continue to fund capital expenditures, which have now been increased to $85 billion just in 2025. Microsoft has $136 billion coming from its operations. That will help it continue to invest in Microsoft Azure. So cash isn't Microsoft's problem. I'll get to their issue in just a second. Amazon has $121 billion in cash coming from its operations, but a lot of those operations need funding themselves. The retail business is very capital intensive. And any investment that they're making in AWS includes not only any artificial intelligence investments, but also in their core computing business. And the other big name is Meta Platforms, over $100 billion in operating cash, going to spend over $60 billion in CapEx this year, and is now spending billions of dollars to acquire talent, whether that's through traditional job offers or just acquiring companies that artificial intelligence researchers are working at. They are spending billions to catch up to companies like Alphabet. Oracle is the other one that wants to play in this game. $21 billion in operating cash flow. They say that they're going to invest tens of billions in artificial intelligence to build out more data centers, but they already have a ton of debt on their balance sheet. So if this arms race continues, and we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars being invested each year by some of the biggest tech companies in the world, I don't think Oracle is going to be a big player there. At the very least, Alphabet has enough cash to continue funding investment and capital expenditures for the foreseeable future, more money than almost any company in the world. And a big advantage that Alphabet has is their independence. Microsoft is primarily working with OpenAI and NVIDIA. So OpenAI is building the models. Those products are ending up on Microsoft's cloud services and also in Microsoft's products. But OpenAI is really the brains behind Microsoft's artificial intelligence, unless they're going with other model makers. In any case, Microsoft does not control the models. They're dependent on other companies. Same thing goes with chips. Their chips have not been successful. So they're dependent on companies like NVIDIA and AMD for their chips to power their data centers. Amazon doesn't develop its own models, has some investments in model companies, but similar problem to Microsoft. And you have the same chip problem as well. But that's not a big driver or differentiator for them right now. And you have similar problems of dependence for Meta and for Oracle as well. So the one company that's really vertically integrated here, and I think that's going to be a huge advantage, is Alphabet. They have their own TPUs, their tensor processing units. Of course, they're buying NVIDIA chips and they're buying almost more than anyone else in the world to be able to serve their customers' needs, but they're not reliant on NVIDIA the way that a lot of these other companies are, and they're building their own models. And as of today, those models from Alphabet are arguably the best in the world, whether you're looking at large language models, or video, or even models that are now being used for robotics and for gaming. And let's not forget about maybe the biggest advantage that Alphabet has. That's their distribution advantage. Google Search is the first place that a lot of people are going to be interacting with artificial intelligence. You have the Gemini app, which is growing like crazy, taking market share, especially for new users, away from ChatGPT. And then you have all of their other products like Gmail, Google Drive, Docs, YouTube. Alphabet has a touch point with billions of users around the world multiple times every single day. That distribution advantage is really going to help the company get its models out into the world, both test and develop new business models. And let's not forget about maybe their biggest advantage. That is the Android ecosystem. Android is a bigger smartphone ecosystem today than Apple's iOS is. They're also going to be able to tie that in with Google Cloud, distribute Gemini. So all the ways that people are interacting with artificial intelligence, I think Alphabet's products and surface areas are going to be some of the most valuable. And we don't talk about this a lot, but Alphabet has some of the best infrastructure in the world. They have spent decades buying up fiber, building data centers, all to take milliseconds out of the time to complete a search. That's now going to translate into great performance for some of their edge computing with artificial intelligence, whether they're using that for internal products or whether they're using that to serve customers with Google Cloud and those innovative companies building on top of Google Cloud and Google's models. That infrastructure could make Alphabet the next AWS. When AWS hit the scenes in the 2000s, it was sort of unknown how big that business was going to be. But what happened is companies like Netflix, Snapchat built on top of AWS. They didn't buy their own servers the way that Facebook did when it started. Companies used to have to build that infrastructure themselves. Now they could just build on top of AWS. We're going to see the same thing with artificial intelligence. The next great companies aren't going to be developing their own models. They're not going to be building their own data centers. They're going to build on existing models and data centers. Increasingly, those models, those data centers are coming from Alphabet. And that's why their cloud business is growing in excess of 30% on a compound annual basis and continuing to get more profitable quarter after quarter. So when you look at everything that's needed to win in artificial intelligence, the cash that's needed to continue investing year after year, the breadth of capabilities and the vertical integration that's needed to make models, chips, and have your own data centers, the distribution to get those products and models to customers, and the infrastructure that other companies can build on top of, the one company that I think will rule them all in artificial intelligence in the future is Alphabet. And the great thing for investors today is that the stock is trading for just 20 times earnings. So this is the cheapest of the big tech companies. I think they have a phenomenal future in artificial intelligence, but let us know what you think about Alphabet's future in the comments section below. And if you want our top 10 stocks to buy right now, check out fool.com/invest. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you here next time.